So just on another commute to the Fremont campus. This time, taking the Hellcat. You know, it's one of those cars, I don't drive it every day. So when I do, man, it feels like a treat, dude. Like, I really forget how fast cars like this are. I mean, it's one of those things where, as a car enthusiast,
turn right on Doherty Road.
I don't really limit my enjoyment to just one type of car. You know, I'm not a Honda fanboy. I'm not a Dodge or a Chevy fanboy. I'm just a car enthusiast. You know, it's kind of, if it's fun to drive and if it puts a smile on your face, then you should drive it. Because, you know, there's a lot of people out there with Miatas. I mean, I've never driven one, but I kind of get it. Because it's kind of the same idea with my Civic Si, where it's not that, it's kind of, I mean, 230 horsepower.
Stay to the right to I-580 West toward Oakland.
For a Civic, that's pretty good for a Civic. I mean, will 230 horsepower be much for a Dodge Charger or a Challenger? Hell no. That's for a Challenger, that shit's slow. But 230 horsepower in a little Honda Civic that weighs less than 3,000 pounds. I mean, that's faster than a lot of Civics. But not as fast as those really souped up ones, but it's still, you know, if you drive a normal Honda Civic and you've driven a modified 230 horsepower one, you'll notice the difference. But yeah. Right now, I'm in a 717 horsepower Hellcat. I just need the road to really open up. But yeah, basically you got a V8, which is like two inline 4 cylinders paired together. So two of my Honda engines, and then you got half a Honda engine on top, which is like that supercharger forcing air into the hood, right? Dude, who's? Yeah, that's a long line.
In half a mile, use the right 2 lanes to stay to the right to I-580 West toward Oakland.
Thanks for the space. Yeah, so this thing, I mean, my Civic Si, with the mods I've put into it, is making about 230 horses until I get the fuel pump so I can start using ethanol. You can't use E85, not without the fuel injectors, but you'll be able to use basically E50, which is about 50% of it is going to be 91 octane, and 50% of the rest of your tank and the contents in it is going to be ethanol. You can get about, so probably a little quicker than an SRT4 once I put that in there, but I still got that naturally aspirated Honda reliability. And yeah, I mean, when it all comes down to it, it's like an SRT driver driving a Honda, so I got that aggression, but now I'm lighter and I can squeeze into tighter spaces. So yeah, I'm just on my way over. Just doing some teaching. As a nurse educator, you know, I'm a nurse before I'm an educator, so I kind of been spending my whole week just doing hospice work and patient care.
Make a U-turn. Make a U-turn.
They got me going out in various parts of the bay, so I'm not really going to be taking the Hellcat or the 392 out if I'm doing all these jobs in San Mateo or in San Francisco or something like that. You know, because you're gonna be losing money if you drive a Hellcat for your job as a home visit nurse. But the Honda Civic, the Si, it's 4 cylinders, but you still got that performance for, you know, I mean, for a Honda, that thing's pretty fast for a Civic. I mean, for daily for intents and purposes as a daily driver, the Honda Civic Si is a fun car. You shouldn't daily drive your most car guy car, and for me, the most car guy car thing I have is this Hellcat, which is not something I drive every day. It's got but because I don't daily it, I can afford to put the most high performance stuff in it and not care. I've got the Nitto NT 555R drag tires, which I don't want to be just sitting in traffic with those. If I'm going to be using it, it's going to be for the track or just doing highway pulls, and I'm not sacrificing that.
In half a mile,
I don't want to be putting daily driver tires on my Hellcat, because I really want to enjoy what this thing can really do. And when you put the drag tires on the Hellcat, you really see what the thing can do, because you're not spinning all over the place. And it's one of my favorite things about this car is I don't drive it every day, so I don't basically lower quantity of driving but better quality of it, where because I don't put a whole bunch of miles on this car in a short period of time, when I do go out and when I do want to just basically put miles on this car and burn gas, I'm really enjoying myself. I kind of
turn left on Amador Plaza.
I kind of just been saving it for special occasions, and it's kind of like a weekend warrior. I mean, you don't want to be keeping a car in the garage the whole time, but you don't want to be just basically using it as your daily driven car that just go everywhere in the Bay Area. And one of my favorite things that
in 600
you can do,
use either lane to turn left
is
to I-685.
merging onto the freeway.
Turn left to I-685.
It's always fun. Man, these guys are ass at driving, dude. This is fun as hell, dude. Man, compared to being in a Civic all week, I forgot how fast my Hellcat is, man. Like, holy shit. I'm not even stepping on the gas pedal that hard, and we're flying. We're just passing all these cars.
13 minutes to exit 14, Durham Road, Auto Mall Parkway.
Yeah, alright, that was fun. Try not to get too carried away. The only thing is, compared to the 392 is you get the power right as you step on the gas pedal, but for the Hellcat, you have to step on the gas, and then you wait for the supercharger to kick in, and then you start getting the power. So this is funner when you're on an open freeway. The Scat Pack is a little better at close quarters driving, because when you come out of a corner, you can put the gas right away, and you get that instant, throttle response and power right away. And the Hellcat, you get a little bit of a lag. But yeah, just basically getting ready to do Unitech things. It's got this commute. Got to handle some. Just kind of get ready for today's lesson and all that. So get a copy of the PowerPoint. The thing is, when you're not a full timer, you don't really get to review PowerPoints ahead of time. Otherwise, I would give better quality lessons if I did. So sometimes it's like, sometimes I'm busy taking care of patients, right? And I'm just tired. And then the day after, I'm like, all right, what do I need? What am I teaching today? I feel like there's this really insecure energy from people. Like whenever you're in a fast car, people just don't want to give you much room to pass. So they'll do shit like they'll block you off if you get an opportunity to pass, and then they'll brake check you if you get too close to them. So basically, you just gotta kind of act like you're not gonna do shit, and then just out of nowhere, just hit them with a burst. Right now, there's a slow driver in the man, dude. Get out of my way. This is always a fun road, but you gotta watch your speed. The good thing is, you can kind of look over your shoulders, make sure you're clear, and then once you really just step on the gas pedal, you can just fly. But right now we're already at the pullover threshold. 80 miles an hour is what I call the pullover threshold, because it's where you're technically speeding, but it's the fastest you can go before you start drawing unwanted attention to yourself. I think anything above 80, you start drawing unwanted attention. So I try not to do that for too long. It's one of those, don't go faster than your eyes can see. And, you just got to watch your rear view. So this is my fastest car, but the tint is a little more medium rather than just straight up dark like my SI or even my Challenger Scat Pack, so I could see my rear view mirrors better. That's the thing about tint, is it looks cool, but as far as just vehicle identification, it's a little harder. But yeah, it's doing this, and this guy. Thing is, how do people do this? Because it's kind of like they assume you're going to stop, but I can't cut off another driver like that, because first of all, it causes road rage, and you never know, because there's always a 50-50 chance somebody might have a gun, but you're dependent on me to stop. You're lucky I got these good SRT brakes, so if you cut me off, my SRT brakes can stop a 4,500 pound car. This thing was made to stop a freight train, but some other schmuck with shitty ass brakes. And then here's another thing: is you're basically relying on me to stop. It's what if somebody's not a good driver? What if they don't stop? You're cutting them off, and you're basically relying on luck. And they have the nerve to just fucking drive hella slow. Because what if I didn't have the reflexes to stop? What then? And I was, you got to do that with a semi truck. But whatever. It's whenever people kind of think that other people are going to stop for them, it's like, it's your funeral. You're lucky that I'm a good enough driver to stop, but there's a lot of people, man. Dick. Fuck out of my way. Yeah, this thing's quick though. This is always a fun road. You just try not to get too carried away, because this place is pretty regularly patrolled too, so you always want to watch your shoulders. Probably should have. Part of just weaving in and out of traffic is basically managing spaces and looking for gaps. Alright. Oh shit. My heart's beating, but dude, you are getting too close to the guardrails. You're making me nervous. But yeah, gotta stay away from bad drivers, so, that's kind of, when it comes to, especially if you like to drive fast, the most important thing to just really manage risk. There's always going to be risk of an accident, but if you really want to minimize your chances of getting into an accident, make space between yourself and these cars around you, Especially this guy, he doesn't really know how to drive, I can tell, because he almost hit a fucking guardrail. You'll want to keep at least no less than a 2 or 3 second distance from him. Otherwise, it's like, pass him as soon as possible. Like, he's about to get into my lane right now, you fucking asshole. Well, he's in my rear view, so we're clear. But yeah, you basically I'm basically going to be, getting ready to, as I really, my goal as a VN instructor is to watch my first group of students graduate, and then we can possibly talk about the RN program. So right now we've got that's the highway patrol frequencies, so we want to kind of watch ourselves. And this idiot's just in my blind spot. See, this is right now I'm kind of, while I'm running a KA band, while the cops are watching my speed, I can't really do any aggressive maneuvers. But this idiot's in my blind spot, and sometimes whenever I know I'm being watched by the police, I kind of want to get out of this left lane when I can. But yeah, we just dodged some serious fucking jackasses back there, man. Like, dude. Left lane campers are the worst, man, because they're the ones where you drive really slow in the left lane and you're getting people that just get really impatient, pass on the right, and they start making these risky maneuvers where if they just stayed out of that lane, they would reduce the chances of causing an accident or even getting into one, because you don't have people getting pissed off and passing them on the right. And and in order to get into the left lane, you're cutting somebody off that's faster than you, and when you're cutting off somebody that's moving faster, you're depending on them to step on their brakes. But what if they don't? You stayed alive this long because of luck. And the more you do that, it's just the only reason you're alive for this long is I'm sure that other drivers compensate for you. Like, I'm in a Hellcat, you cut me off, but I'm good enough at stepping on my brakes that neither of us died. People really do live in that mindset, though.
Laser.
All right, so that's the laser. Thing is, that's for speed detection. So who's watching us speed? Thing is, you never know where they're at. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not there. But yeah. So we're almost to Fremont. A little bit of a... Woo. If you use your speed properly, it's almost like a safety feature, because whenever I see somebody cutting in, I'm like, all right, I need to be fast enough to get out of their way. It stop you from getting rear-ended, and you pull ahead fast enough, they won't sideswipe you. Sometimes, you just gotta know when to use your speed and when to use your brakes. In a straight line, this car has a bit of both. The SI, it has speed as long as you have momentum, but you got steering, because when it comes to accidents, you kind of want to be evasive, keep your distance, and part of it is just using your speed to make distance between yourself and people that just look like they're gonna crash into you. Just kind of find this nice bit of space to just breathe comfortably, and just try not to be in these tight quarters longer than you have to. So we're almost to Auto Mall, so we're almost to campus. But yeah, 85, calm down. All right.
In 1 mile, exit right to exit 14, Durham Road, Auto Mall Parkway.
This road is just so open. It just looks really tempting to just gun it and just take this turn at like 120 miles an hour. But usually if it's tempting to, it's kind of never trust it if it's too quiet. And plus, it's just corners is not the Hellcat's strongest suit. But damn, this thing can go. But yeah, so I do want to see my first group of students graduate. So that's kind of one thing I really I'm hoping to see before I
exit right to exit 14,
transition to becoming an RN
Auto
instructor
Mall
one of these
Parkway.
days. So that's kind of the thing for me in the future. And
In 900 feet, use
right
either
now,
lane
though,
to turn
just
left on
enjoying
Automall Parkway.
today's lesson. Kind of like, you know, as a car enthusiast, sometimes you don't think about the destination. You just think about the journey, and you kind of just go with the flow. Like, you
Turn
just
left
enjoy
on
the
Automall
ride.
Parkway.
Just focus on the road ahead. Man, this work truck really trying to use their momentum. They drive that thing pretty fast, man. What the hell? GTI. But yeah, it's just part of why I don't drive more than I have to is there's too many retards. You know, you try to stay away from bad drivers. This car, it can be pretty dangerous driving this thing at night because, you know, this is a very common car for people, you know, to want to steal and take to the sideshows. You know, in the hood they call them strikers. You know, stolen cars they don't care about, and that's why you see people just basically just doing burnouts, doing donuts, and then they
1.2 miles.
set the car on fire. And these are beautiful muscle cars like Camaros, Mustang GTs, Scat Packs. Because it's not their car. They don't care, man. It's people, they just go out there, they just drive shit that isn't theirs, that they didn't work for. You know, maybe their mama didn't whoop them with a belt enough as a kid. I don't know, but people these days think it's okay to just steal shit and just drive shit that isn't theirs. You know, it's kind of so that's kind of why, you know, I definitely a car like this, you know, there's certain places I would not think about going with this car. There's times and nights I try not to take this car. You know, it's an eye catcher both for cops and criminals. Is that a police officer, or no? It's just a city worker. But yeah, it's just, you know, part of it. You know, I'm an RN, man. I'm not some guy that goes to the club in their 20s. You know, clubs or bars. Part of it is just fucking staying out of trouble.
Red light camera ahead.
But yeah, back to what I was saying is, I'm getting ready to be a teacher for the RN program. You know, and it's, as somebody that does, you know, care, it's kind of, I do want to really just spend my time in the VN program becoming good at teaching, knowing what I'm teaching, and basically just kind of understand the PowerPoints. At the same time, though, my money-making job, you know, as a hospice RN, you know, I put a lot of work into that, and there's a lot of, you know, time and effort that goes into that kind of nursing, because you do a lot of charting.
Then turn right. Red light camera ahead.
You know, when I do transition over to teaching, it's kind of just on, you know, like last minute, I'll kind of see what was today's lesson, and then, you know, and I kind of just, you know, we kind of just go from there, you know, and really just do a good lesson, try to get people to have above 85, but 75, 85 preferably, but, you know, the real goal is to get the kids ready to pass NCLEX. You know, and the easy A is not going to really be the answer. I mean, it might feel good in the short run, especially if you have an ego, but I think as I got older, it became, you know, I think a lot of youngsters won't really, you know, appreciate this kind of advice at first until they become older nurses that get experience. But
turn right.
It's just, would you rather focus on, you know, protecting your ego by getting an easy A, or would you rather focus on getting the skills you need to pass the NCLEX and become a good nurse in the real world? Because just an easy A is not really going to help you achieve any of that. Anyways, we are here, so
You've arrived.
Yep.
Destination is on your right.